the only way to start your day.
Were revered.
Yes.
And are still revered. And when we talk about beauty and makeup, they are doing it for aesthetic reasons and also for therapeutic reasons. Do you go to the salon to do your makeup, or do you do makeup for aesthetics or therapy? They invented that.
Wow.
Okay, so we're talking about Egypt. Now, the proverb today: the camel cannot see the bend in its own neck.
The camel can also see the bend in its own neck. That's good. I think, first of all, Egypt is an amazing country. Surprisingly enough, Sudan also has quite a couple of pyramids.
Pyramids, yes, they do.
Yeah, but so for me, I think it's a question of how far you can see. I would interpret it to mean there's only so much you can see. You might have something existing within you. The camel, obviously, the bend is still within it, but the neck will have to. You have to flip around and see. The way I would interpret it is simple. There's only so much you can see, regardless of what you have. So you need hindsight. You need something else. You need, a better view. And I think just interpreting it to today where we are, I would also go back to being similar to how you cannot remove a speck. You're busy removing a speck in someone else's eye, and you cannot see the log in yours. So I would interpret it to mean that there's only so much you can see, that there's more existing within you, that you might need help elsewhere.
Okay.
Wow. Interesting one. And as we get into this Justice Thursday conversation this morning, we're looking into who owns the idea. And I am sure that anybody who is a budding entrepreneur or has entered into the world of entrepreneurship previously has a story to tell. Dennis here also has a story to tell. I have a story to tell. There are people who have come up with fantastic ideas and have taken them to who would be the decision makers on the platform whereby they will want this idea to come to life. And, you're, in today's terms, ghosted. And then after some time, you find your idea to the letter is now on this particular arena. And you wonder, what happened? And that is the world of startups. I'm looking at the statistics, and the startups that we have had come into place in the last 5 years is unbelievable. That everybody has a startup, but then who is protecting our ideas? And that's the conversation that we're having this morning. Can you really own the idea completely, 100%?
So I'm going to say yes and no.
Okay.
And just by starting with an introduction, what we do is, over and above the fact that I'm a lawyer, we do run an organization called Anza Village, an Afro Innovation Festival. And what we've done is build a community of a robust number of startup founders. We have more than 1,000 startup founders based in Kenya, but across Africa. We are very Pan-African. And the reason why that bringing that community together was important is because of just that. Everybody says, I have an amazing idea, but where do I start? How do I fundraise? How do I get to the market? I personally come from a privileged background, that I do come from a legal background in tech particularly. And so it was something that I felt was needed I needed to impact to the young generation. And it came from one time I listened to a pitch and somebody said, we wanted to know more about, what exactly, can you tell us more about the device that you're talking about? And he said, I can only speak to you behind the scenes because I'm afraid you might take it away. And we had then to think, okay, this is a real issue. This is a real crisis. Now, when it comes to the kind of innovations that we have and the kind of amazing ideas we have come from a country that, we talk about, I'll use rumors and assertions of who owns the idea of M-Pesa and so many other things that come out. And we as Africans have one fortunate thing about our culture is we are a sharing community. We are sharing culture. And so we've not assumed that sharing sometimes is over and above the fact that you need to share, you need to think about how to commercialize it and all that. So commercialization and protection comes second nature. It has always been after the idea. Now, when I come back to what an idea is, I think I will use a simple terms of what Kenyans we do. We love buying land. So you can imagine me and Dennis have an idea of buying land together. and then I back out, but he continues to buy land. Have I owned that land? We had that conversation. Have I owned that land? So why I say the yes and no, this is where the no comes in. When we are generally speaking, it sounds like we're brainstorming until you put it into form. And this is a form. You could say that I have an idea of putting a music together that is going to sound a band-tone. And it will be about, I don't know, let me use finance bill or anything else. So if I put it down and write the lyrics and perform it, then it becomes a song. You convert that idea into product. I have an idea of a medicine that will cure 5 different types of cancers with herb XYZ. When I put that into a prototype, or at least into an illustration, then I can come on board and say, now this is something. So the idea alone is not sufficient. It needs to be converted in a form that you own it. And that's why I will use copyright as a good example before I even delve into the types of intellectual property. That an idea of writing a book is, it doesn't give you copyright. It is a book itself. It is a song itself. It's a recording like today that makes it your invention that actually then gives you the certificate of copyright. And so you have to go that extra layer and say, I put it in a form, and then that form, then I can go ahead and protect it if it falls within the realms of protection, right?
So let me. This topic has so many ranges.
Yeah.
In an example, let's say we are 4-5 of us in a room, and so we are discussing about a device, a tracking device that's going to help children, for example. If they get lost, then you as a parent can go quickly to your mobile phone and find out where your child is. Now, if it's 5 of us having that discussion, I could be the one who suggests, by the way, what can we do? Because we are seeing so many cases of children disappearing and whatnot. How do we do it? Then you come in and say, oh, there's a video I watched, blah, blah, blah. We go through the video. Undu comes in and says, oh, I'm also thinking about... So we're all contributing to the idea.
Yes.
And going to your example of land. So we want to buy land, and you decide, okay, I'm not interested, and I continue. Whose idea is it? So in this context, when multiple people then are contributing to a product, then the product goes into development. How then do you determine who owns that product? In this conversation, the device for tracking children. Who is going to own it?
So there's something that we normally encourage doing, especially within the tech space. And it's a phenomenon that for the longest time we haven't done in Kenya. But if you look at startups from the Silicon Valley, they are very fast to do. So normally when you come together, you do something called you put together something called a founder's agreement. It's like a prenup that we are saying, me, Duke, and Dennis, we're going to get into this business of creating a device and all that. The right format has been that you put it clearly that this is the kind of invention that we're putting together. The idea will not be owned by individually us. It will be owned by the entity that we form together, right? And then that entity, you own shares to that entity. So you almost own a percentage of ownership for that. Now, we haven't done that for the longest time in Kenya. Most people, including lawyers, don't know what a founder's agreement is and that it exists. Now, why that document is important, it comes way ahead of all these other legal things. It comes way ahead of actually converting that idea into a prototype. It comes way ahead of even registering a company. So it's a prenup of your idea. It's a prenup of what will be your invention, right? Even if, and a founder's agreement doesn't have to be technical. It could be, you take a piece of sheet, a sheet of paper, let us put it down that we are going to set up a device that will do X, Y, Z, and that this is what we intend to do, and that it will be all co-owned by individuals. If you don't want it to be all co-owned by all of us, then you make it very clear that this is Dennis, this is your invention, and what I'm bringing to the table is funds, or what I'm bringing to the table is marketing or something else.
And do you have to put it down, document it?
Preferably. And why I say preferably is where in case of dispute, and this is now where the legal arms comes in. How then do you prove that we really had this conversation? We can't say verbally that we did, but for the longest time, because founders or written agreements have always pre-existed registration of the copyright, then it becomes an easier thing of no one owns it. I'll give a good twist. Back, I think in 2019 or 2018, there was a dispute between the founders, the people who brought in Lot of Kenya, the lottery organization. And the biggest dispute was, I think at some point they even had to shut it down. I don't know whether they eventually sold it to different people, but the entire dispute was the two parties could no longer agree. And they had just done a joint venture without making it very clear, in case anything happens, was it you or I? Right? And they skipped that step. Most of the time, we skip this step. We will go in and say, let's go put something together, and then we proceed. Normally, where now the law catches up with you or the finances catches up with you is because you skipped that step of saying, let's put it down in writing. If you can even show, it doesn't have to be, that there was text messages that we were exchanging. Because actually, WhatsApp or text messages can actually form part of an agreement. If we can be able to prove that there was text messages, there was an email thread, there was, a written paper and we were having these minutes, there was minutes minuted, then that too suffices. It doesn't have to take the shape and form of your usual. That's why we talk about prenups can be written or contracts can be written in a napkin.
But what makes it then a legally binding document that can be evidence in future if there's a dispute? Is it the name, signatures, ID number, what sort of thing? Because you can narrate these ideas, say, okay, we all agree that this is what you're going to do, blah, 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 blah. But what then makes it legal or binding?
In a written document like this, it benefits when parties sign. However, where you can see there was conversation exchanges. Because I responded and say, this is good. Can we also do this? And then this and that. Then that means that all parties were in agreement, even though they didn't come at the bottom. You can see the emails are between me, you, and Duku, right? So it then forms the basis to which we say then that you actually did enter into an agreement.
Okay, there's a situation here, and the first time I was a victim to this was my first year in college. You are young, you're creative, you have all these brilliant ideas, and it was a commercial idea, an ad on TV. And so I shared this with a friend. I'm thinking of this idea. Why can't these people do this, and that? I said, oh, by the way, I have a relative who actually knows somebody who works in an agency that you can actually go pitch and you can make money from it. Then I do a meeting. So I'm in this boardroom, I'm doing a presentation. So I'm speaking to these guys and I'm telling them, guys, this is my idea. And I want to share this idea. And of course, I'm expecting at the end of the day, if they believe that the idea can work, I'll get some form of payment. So what do they tell me after my presentation? Your presentation is really, really good. We'll get back to you in a week or two. We're going to share with our client, blah, blah, blah. 2 weeks, no call. 3 weeks, no call. A month, no call. But after around 3-4 months, I'm in Mombasa and I'm watching TV. Then I'm like, wait a minute. This is actually my script. And they only changed, let's say 80% was my idea. 20% is what was the extras. So I'm watching and I'm thinking, I think I'd shared this with somebody else. Then I'm thinking, was somebody thinking like me? And at that point, I didn't know because this is many, many years ago, over 20 plus years ago. And I'm thinking, what could I have done? Then these guys must have taken my idea, made money from it, and I can't do anything. How many of those young people do you meet daily who then may be seeking investment or want to share their idea? They are called into boardroom meetings. They do PowerPoint presentations. They share their slides. But they don't know that in sharing, you're basically talking to somebody who can then take advantage of you. Absolutely. Because you're dealing with a company. You're dealing with people with lawyers. And this young person does not even earn at a bus fare, kurudi home. I want to share my idea because I'm creative. Maybe they'll give me an opportunity. You found situations like those?
Oh my God, many. When I tell you, for instance, the case I listened to was our student telling us, because it came from a point of fear. The reason why I personally started this movement was because of how many people cried. And the worst case about law is that ignorance is no defense. So when you go to court, you cannot come and say, I didn't know that you needed to do this. So the best thing we normally do is sensitize. And I wish I knew you then, because at least I would have.
I wish I
picked
even
up.
knew non-disclosure from that. I had no idea those things were. I was
Non-disclosure.
just excited about
But
the
this
idea.
is what I always say. Please, 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 and I hope everyone listening takes this. Don't send physical copies. You know, my mom has this tendency of saying, even when you're going to give something to your friends and relatives back at home, don't give cash, send M-Pesa. At least it's proof that you give them something, yeah?
Yes.
It's proof that you give them something. When it comes to sharing scripts, pitches, even though it's in a deck, please make sure that you send it via email.
So you have trail.
You have trail that this was shared in this date. Because I will now allow me introduce the form of IP protected through this is copyright, right? And copyright is free. It is from the point you invent. It's from the point you compose. It's a form of compose. It's the same. If you talk about, if you copy my book without referring to me, it's plagiarism. That's a form of infringement of copyright. We support a lot of young founders. Most of it between the ages of 18 to 28 or to 30. And they don't have this hindsight. They're coming from school or in school with an amazing burning idea at this point in time. Very excited like you are, ready to rock the world, believing that honestly what I have is a potential unicorn. And then they will come and pitch one either in front of people. They will go to expo with an amazing thing, or they will even go to corporate. The biggest loss we've had, especially with young people, has been within the corporate space, where you get into the boardroom and it's a power play. I don't have the power. I feel like I don't have the power to take you to court. You've clearly taken 80-90% of my idea. I do not have the power to take you to court. However, there are people who've done it and succeeded. I think the case of, please call me, is it the South African case?
Yes.
Guys have won millions of dollars. You know why? Because he had the audacity, or he had the hindsight of sharing that through email. He's won an entire case, and it's in millions.
Because it was his.
Because he has proof via email conversations that I shared this. That you may have twitched something, yeah? But you can clearly see that 90 or 80% of this
Was mine.
And you could see the correspondence dating back 4 or 5 years ago. Right, so we started sensitizing and training and capacity building young people. These are young people in university. Anyone who feels that innovation is my forte. This is what I want to be. Entrepreneurship is my forte. We've started doing that, and that's why we built Answer Village and Afro Innovation Festival. Literally, it was meant for that. It's to relieve that pain, that pressure, and give that information back. And also remember that we have 2 amazing agencies that work around IP in Kenya. We have the Kenya Copyright Board, we have the Kenya Industrial Property Institute. But you know, government is government. They don't come to speak to the innovators.
But they say they do.
They do.
They say they do.
They claim they do, but they don't. I think the one that I've seen trying is the Kenya Copyright Board. I've seen there, with their roadshows. But majority of the innovations that you're talking about exist within patterns that you're forming. Just because you're creating a device, creating some type of medicine and all that. And the number of times people come to me and ask me, where do I start? Who is Kippy? There are many. So actually, I did a step further, and I did a book, and you can check it out online. It's called The Innovator's Guidebook to IP Protection in Kenya. It is free. We made it free. It is online. Just download a book. It's very nice, easy on the eyes. I wish I carried a copy. I would have shared with you for an innovator to have. But even online, just checking it, it was feeling that far cry. Because I was also one like you with amazing ideas that I want to do this. And lucky enough, I knew my benefit, I knew my rights, right? And I want the next generation, because the next generation of entrepreneurs really are the innovators.
Indeed.
And they're the young people.
All right, let's take a break at this point. Wageshi Wahome is a law tech expert, and we're looking into who owns the idea, how you can actually protect it, startups, innovations, and intellectual property. When we come back from the break, let's go into that step by step. I have this idea. What then am I supposed to do to ensure that somebody doesn't run away with it?
Absolutely.
And then how can you operate in a space whereby they actually hire you, but they've taken your idea and it's theirs? What do you do and how do you operate it? Let's do that when we come back from this break. And that's our Justice Thursday conversation with Wageshi Wahome. See you on the other side of this break.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.